Hey there, buttercups! Alright, let's talk Vikings. These fierce warriors and skilled navigators have fascinated us for centuries. Their tales of exploration, conquest, and trade are legendary. From the late 8th to the 11th centuries, these Scandinavian raiders and traders made quite a splash. They were not just pirates, but also settlers, explorers, and merchants. They went from Scandinavia to places as far as North America and Central Asia. That is impressive, right? Imagine the courage and skill it took to navigate those treacherous waters and unknown lands. But what caused this sudden burst of activity? Why did the Vikings leave their homelands to venture into the unknown? Well, it was not just one thing. There were multiple factors at play, including economic pressures, political instability, and a desire for wealth and adventure. It was a whole bunch of factors all coming together. The Vikings were adept at seizing opportunities, whether through trade or conquest. Think of it like this. Imagine a pot of water on a stove. The heat represents the underlying issues in Scandinavia, such as overpopulation and limited resources. The heat represents the underlying issues in Scandinavia. These issues created a pressure cooker environment, pushing the Vikings to seek new opportunities. Then you toss in some spices. Those are the triggering events. These could be anything from political changes to new trade routes opening up. Suddenly, you have got a boiling mess. This boiling pot is a metaphor for the Viking Age, a time of great upheaval and transformation. That's the Viking Age for you. So buckle up, buttercups. We are about to embark on a journey through one of the most dynamic periods in history. We are about to dive deep into the world of the Vikings. From their daily lives to their epic voyages, there's so much to uncover. Stay tuned. First, let's head over to Scandinavia. This region, known for its rugged beauty and harsh climate, was home to the Vikings. But it was not a unified land. Picture this, lots of small kingdoms, all competing for power and resources. Each kingdom had its own chieftain, its own warriors, and its own ambitions. These small territories were often at odds with each other, vying for dominance. Not exactly a recipe for peace and quiet, is it? The constant threat of conflict loomed over every village. Warriors had to be ever ready, their swords sharp and their minds sharper. It was pretty much constant tension and squabbling. Disputes over land, resources, and honor were common. The Viking way of life was one of resilience and readiness for battle. Now imagine you are a young Viking bloke in this environment. You are growing up amidst this chaos, learning the ways of the warrior from a young age. You're ambitious. You want to make a name for yourself. You dream of glory, of tales sung about your deeds in the great halls. But how do you achieve that? But there is not a lot of opportunity at home. The land is harsh, the resources are scarce, and the competition is fierce. What do? Well, you could always grab your sword, gather your mates, and set sail for richer shores. The sea offers a chance for adventure, for wealth, and for carving out your own destiny. And that is precisely what many Vikings did. They became explorers, traders, and raiders. They ventured into the unknown, driven by the promise of fortune and fame. They looked beyond their borders for land, wealth, and glory. Their journeys took them to distant shores, where they left an indelible mark on history. Here's another thing. Viking society had a bit of a boy problem. See, they practiced something called primogeniture. That meant the eldest son inherited everything. Land, titles, you name it. So where did that leave younger sons? High and dry, that's where. With no inheritance, they had to find their own way. And guess what? Raiding and trading became pretty attractive options. It was a chance to win wealth, status, maybe even some land. Who would not be tempted? Also, as suggested by historical records and sagas, there was a scarcity of women in Scandinavia. The shortage of potential brides could have fueled the incentive for young Viking men to seek partners beyond their home shores, leading to migrations and the establishment of new settlements. Furthermore, the treasures brought home from raids abroad would have been enough for young men to afford to pay a bride price, paid by a man to a woman's family for her hand in marriage, increasing their chance of marriage, a further incentive for young men to join raids. A changing world. Now let's talk about the weather. Around the 8th century, Europe experienced a warm spell. This medieval warm period meant better harvests in Scandinavia. Sounds good, right? Well, yes and no. More food meant more mouths to feed. Scandinavia is not exactly known for its vast fertile plains. Resources started to get a bit tight. So what did those adventurous Vikings do? They set sail again, seeking new lands and opportunities. See a pattern here? Easy pickings. Meanwhile, over in mainland Europe, things were not exactly peachy either. The Roman Empire was long gone, and Europe was divided into a bunch of relatively weak kingdoms. And then there were the monasteries. These were wealthy, often poorly defended, and full of treasures. To the Vikings, they were like sitting ducks. It is no wonder they became prime targets for raids. The call of adventure. But it was not just about practicality. Vikings were also driven by something else, a thirst for adventure. Their stories, called sagas, are full of daring voyages, epic battles, and mythical creatures. They longed for fame, fortune, and the chance to prove their worth. And what better way to do that than to sail into the unknown, facing danger head-on? It was all part of the Viking spirit. The longship, a Viking marvel. Now, we cannot talk about the Viking Age without mentioning their secret weapon, the longship. These vessels were not just boats, they were the lifeblood of Viking exploration, trade, and warfare. The longship was a versatile and formidable tool that allowed the Vikings to dominate the seas and rivers of Europe. Viking longships were characterized by their shallow draft, their thin, streamlined hull, which was symmetrical at the bow and the stern. These ships were technological marvels. The clinker-built hull with its overlapping planks provided both strength and flexibility, allowing the longship to withstand the harsh conditions of the North Atlantic. The craftsmanship involved in building these ships was nothing short of extraordinary. They were fast, maneuverable, and could navigate both rivers and open seas. This adaptability made them perfect for the varied landscapes the Vikings encountered, from the fjords of Scandinavia to the rivers of Russia and the coasts of Britain and Ireland. The longship's shallow draft meant Vikings could sail up rivers, bypassing coastal defenses. This ability to penetrate deep inland gave them a strategic advantage, allowing them to launch raids and establish trade routes far from the coast. They could land on beaches, launch surprise attacks, and disappear just as quickly. This hit-and-run tactic was a hallmark of Viking warfare, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies and ensuring their dominance for centuries. These ships were key to the Viking success. Whether it was a fleet of longships setting out on a grand expedition or a single vessel on a stealthy raid, the longship was central to Viking life and culture. So there you have it. The longship was more than just a mode of transportation. It was a symbol of Viking ingenuity, resilience, and their unquenchable thirst for adventure. The Viking Age was not caused by just one thing. It was a perfect storm of factors, internal pressures, external opportunities, and a healthy dose of adventure. The longship was the vehicle that carried the Vikings through this transformative era. The longship is a symbol of Viking ingenuity and their enduring legacy. The longship remains an enduring symbol of the Viking spirit, a testament to their remarkable achievements and their lasting impact on history.
Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. We do like to know and hear your feedback. And if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get early access to our videos and where we post bonus material. Till next time, this is Geeky Tidbits saying cheers and have a good day.